I would say that coaching can be helpful for anybody at any career stage, even if you're not quote unquote looking for a job, or even if you are very far along in your career path. I think having somebody else to share ideas with and have new ideas who is unbiased, and that includes people you don't even know, like in a group coaching setting, that can look at your case objectively. That is advice and feedback you're going to get from a coach.
Unlock your full potential. Develop a life of success and harmony with Yogi Sharma.
Hey, Jeff.
Morning, Yogi.
Hey, welcome to this call on talking about your experience in our coaching. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Happy to do it.
To just get started and orient the listeners, could you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your name, location, what do you do?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jeff Stanger. I am located in the Bay Area in the peninsula. I don't work locally. I've tended to work with remote firms, mostly on the East Coast. So I have some early mornings.
And you've done remote work even before pandemic.
But before it was fashionable, I was doing remote work, for many, many years. So segueing to what I do, I currently work for a web firm that builds interactive data visualizations and advanced content product.
And you're a fractional CFO.
And I am a fractional executive.
Executive.
That's what I call myself. I am the chief strategy officer, but I do not do it full time. Started in 1998 doing this kind of thing. And a lot of that work was sort of baseline work. So the newer, more advanced content work is over the last maybe 10 or 15 years.
Awesome. Thanks for that introduction. And for the rest of the call, I want to just talk about kind of three main things. How was life before we started working together? What results, tangible or intangibles, you got through the coaching, and how was life afterwards? So tell us a little bit about where were you before starting to work with us? What kind of challenges you're facing? What was working? What was not working?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, during the pandemic and immediately after, my existing position had gotten incredibly challenging, producing work on a timeline when everybody was having challenges during and after the pandemic. That just got to be too much. So I reprioritized and decided to leave that firm before really knowing what I was going to do next. And I was lucky enough to land at my current firm and be able to do that on a fractional basis, which allowed me to continue thinking about what that long-term plan might be. The reason I sought out coaching was because I was still trying to answer that question of what I was going to do when I grow up, how to fill in the rest of the plan. And I didn't know if that meant digging deeper into my fractional role, like making it less fractional, or thinking about something else. That was really the key question that drove me to think about coaching, is sorting that out, like status quo or not status quo. You asked me what was not working. Everything was working. I feel like I had made the major change that I had to make at that time. So things were working in that sense. But what was not working was my own decision about what to do next. And I'll share with your listeners that when I graduated from graduate school, I had a job waiting for me. Then I started my own firm, did that for a very long time, then eventually merged that into another firm. And then immediately when leaving that firm, happened into my current position. So I had never legitimately conducted a job search in my entire career. And you can tell by my gray beard that that career is like kind of a long time. So when you're talking about like not working or challenges, like if I needed to do that, how would I even approach that, having never done that in my professional career? So I felt like I needed some structure around that and some collaboration.
And one thing I noticed also, many people come because they have a problem in their career. I think you came, there's no real immediate problem, but you wanted to make it better in the long run.
Right. There wasn't a pressing problem. If there was anything pressing, maybe it was sort of the lack of confidence or understanding that would result from like having never done something before like that.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what kinds of things changed for you inner experience with coaching, something intangible or tangible? What shifted for you?
The group coaching is, I found, very valuable, even though it's not one on one. And for me, it was very valuable because I had several moments where I was hearing things that I had experience with, or I could help somebody else, either because of my extensive professional experience or things that I had faced that younger people were now facing. So I felt like I had something to offer. Like that was valuable. So that was like intangible. I think that's mostly, it increased my confidence in that regard almost immediately.
It's interesting, like a lot of time confidence comes from helping other. I'm able to help other people. And that was part of the work that we did.
Right. As far as tangible outcomes, I think the coaching definitely contributed to formalizing what I'm doing now and embracing it. And what I mean by what I'm doing now as a fractional executive, like naming it what it is, like finding examples and research of other people doing that as opposed to it just being something I invented. Like the fact, like I didn't invent the idea of a fractional executive, but at the time I was thinking about doing that, I didn't know about it. So the coaching encouraged me to kind of put together those pieces and label it and make a proposal to my current firm that allowed them to afford me and us to increase our relationship without it cutting off my other options or I guess, my time to think about the future.
And what do you mean by increasing your relationship?
I started out sort of just consulting with this company. I didn't really have a title, didn't have there were things I was not involved in because I was just a consultant. So coming up with a formal proposal like fractional executive, chief strategy officer, this many hours, this responsibility, that was definitely a shift that the coaching assisted with. And it was a deeper relationship than just a consulting on a few projects type of relationship.
And partly it was also, I remember, it's kind of difficult, uncomfortable to talk about all that, and you were able to do that.
Yeah, I mean it is, especially when it's not something that I had done before or they had done before. To make a proposal to fill that role in the way I was proposing, it's not like they came to me and proposed it. Like, so in that sense it's uncomfortable. It's kind of like looking for a job. You're like making a proposal that they hadn't thought about, and it's been great, and they were very receptive to it, and it allows me to be involved in things that just a consultant would not be involved in.
Awesome. Is there anything that you're, hey, I formalize what I'm doing, but I also started to talk to people, learn to understand the context? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Part of why I came to coaching also was that I had moved to the Bay Area from Washington, D.C., and felt like I fell into the same stuff that I had always been doing. Like I kind of continued in the same realm, doing the same type of thing with different companies, and hadn't really given the Bay Area or Silicon Valley a fair shake, and didn't really have a way to do that other than walking out my front door and like saying hi to people. I didn't have a local professional network like in person that I could access. And because I fell into doing some of the same things, I felt isolated. So I think it definitely was helpful in starting the process of being more intentional about connecting with people locally, because the Bay Area is obviously, there's all kinds of things going on. But if you're working remotely and sitting at your desk 70 hours a week, you could be anywhere. Like there's no advantage to being here. So I think that was very helpful and like a point of inflection to just like start to look outward a little bit more.
I remember we started to introduce people, we started to have some conversations with people, how things are going, understanding the industry. So that was helpful. Awesome.
Also, hearing from others in group coaching and from you, Yogi, about how my skills, which were mostly like Washington, D.C. type policy sphere, how those skills might translate to a different type of company.
So you thought that you don't have the skills that are required or desired in Bay Area, but turns out with a small shift they are.
Yeah, and knowing like what those jobs are called here, for example, in a different industry, like what you're describing is that's what this is called. It's a thing, and you're well qualified for it.
And what are the even skills? What kind of skills? What are they? What are the names? How do you, and what are you strong at, for example? So now after the coaching, how are things different now? How are you doing things differently? How are you spending time differently? And what are you looking forward to next?
I would say that I am more comfortable with the status quo for now. So that's good. I feel like more content. So that has been a good development because I would say I was not content, or I was not content because I didn't feel like I had turned over every stone. I had taken the easy path to something I was familiar with. So I feel a little more content with that now. I also feel like I've actually reached out to people about other positions just to, it's kind of in an informational sense. And so that's forced me to look outwardly about where those skills might be applicable, but also in a very tangible way, prepare my materials for that process. So somebody might say, like, send me your CV or your resume, send me a cover letter that describes what you've been doing. And, as somebody who has been in positions and hasn't looked for a job, I have that stuff, but, updating it, getting feedback on it, refining it, and having it at the ready, I think it sounds mundane, but it's an important aspect of just like being prepared to take advantage of an opportunity or to have a conversation. It doesn't mean you're applying for a job all the time, but have your materials at the ready is an important step. So that is definitely different now than it was before.
It might sound mundane, but it's amazing how many people have a difficult time with that. Like just being able to talk to other people about what they've done, the stories of their career, the challenges they've faced. And now, while talking to people, we had a conversation how it helps you to bring that understanding to the current work also.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that preparing materials, not just having them, but the process of putting it together organizes your brain to like look back at your past and say, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was, I could relate that story to somebody if they asked, reminding yourself of what you've done.
And now let's change gears a little bit and talk about when you were starting coaching. What were some of the doubts or concerns you had whether coaching would work for you, whether you want to do it or not do it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think the biggest doubt has nothing to do with your coaching, but my own history with coaching, which has not been very productive. I think I have a natural skepticism because of my experience with it in the past. It has always resulted in just a lot of talk, not a lot of action, a lot of psychological self analysis that I didn't feel really could be put into practice very
And to the point of analysis paralysis, even.
right. So that was my experience with coaching in the past. So I would say that was my biggest impediment was, is this going to be that again?
And was this different?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think the structured program and the combination of self-analysis with tangible outcomes and activities.
And accountability on foot.
Right. The group coaching was something I had never done before. And I felt that was different and useful for the reasons I said earlier, realizing that you have something to offer to other people, which is confidence building. That was definitely a doubt. Would this work for me? And I think it definitely did.
Awesome. Is there anything else you like to say to someone who is thinking of joining a coaching or program, but isn't really sure if the coaching is for them, will work for them or not? Do you have anything to say to them?
I would say that coaching can be helpful for anybody at any career stage, even if you're not quote unquote looking for a job, or even if you are very far along in your career path. I think having somebody else to share ideas with and have new ideas who is unbiased, and that includes people you don't even know, like in a group coaching setting, that can look at your case objectively. That is advice and feedback you're going to get from a coach and from other people in a coaching setting that you're not going to get from a spouse, or certainly not like in your current position.
Manager.
Like unless you have a very healthy type of work environment, which some people do, where doing coaching in that context is not considered threatening to the current company. Having somebody independent, a group that's independent and unbiased, I think is very helpful no matter what career stage you're at.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time, Jeff, to talk to me, and it was great having you. And I look forward to our continued conversations and how can I help you, support you, and all the best.
Thanks, I appreciate it, and it was good to have this conversation.
Unlock your full potential with Yogi Sharma. Like and subscribe for more videos.